Hey guys, thanks for coming to this free training tonight. In the chat box, I want everybody to tell me where they're from. I am from St. Louis, Missouri. Tonight's training is going to be all about how to accurately run MLS comps and how to pull the very best motivated seller lists. I'm going to do my best to keep the training around 45 minutes, may go an hour, give or take. But I don't want to make this too long. I want to try to keep it as simple as I possibly can. So we got ATL. Sarah's from Byron, Illinois. Very cool. Very cool. Again, if you guys are joining in the chat box, drop a comment with where you guys are watching from. So I'm going to share my screen. Now, I'm going to be honest. This is the first or second time that I've used Webinar Jam in probably 3 years. So you're going to have to bear with me as I learn how to do some screen sharing and some stuff along those lines. I do want to take a poll before we get started, guys. I'm going to publish this poll, and I'm just kind of curious if you've done any real estate deals yet. I'm an investor that's been investing for about 15 years. I've been full-time at this for about 6, and I've done over 600 wholesale deals to date. And I love wholesaling. My true passion actually is buying and owning long-term rentals, right? At one point I had about 75 properties. The market is crazy, so I wanted to capture some gains. I'm down to probably around 30 right now. So I still have about 30 rental properties. And I basically cherry pick the very best deals and keep them for myself to rent out. And I love using the burst strategy, or we'll flip those properties, right? So it looks like we've got about 80% of the people on that have said no, not yet. So this is going to be a really, really good training for you all to learn. There's a couple people that have done a few, which is awesome. So I appreciate you guys taking that poll. All right, let's share the screen and see if we can figure out how this works. Again, bear with me. We're going to do it this way. We're going to do our entire screen, and we're going to share. All right, so a little bit about me. Again, I'm David Dodge. I'm out of St. Louis, Missouri, and I've done about, 600 flips to date. And again, I love to wholesale property. But my passion is the rentals, right? That's what I said earlier. So when it comes to marketing for properties, I get to cherry pick the best deals. Looks like this map's going crazy on me here. I get to cherry pick the best deals, and I get to keep those for myself. But in order for me to make offers on any deal at all, let alone a great deal or just a deal in general, it all starts with knowing what that property is going to be worth, right? Like that's basically where you start. Okay, so this is some of the flips that I have done, right? And I do them all over town. And I'm from St. Louis. I don't really do a whole lot virtual. I want to be completely honest with you guys. The reason is because it's very easy to do deals in my market, and I can eliminate a lot of the risk by being able to go drive to the property. And if it's a property that we're rehabbing, I can get in touch with my contractors and manage everything and kind of have eyes on the deal in the property a little bit easier. I'm not against the virtual wholesaling or virtual deals by all means, especially for those who live in markets that would require, such a thing. But for me, it's just easy to do it in my own market. And that's just where I choose to do most of my deals. All right, so today I want to jump in with basically a demo of how I run all my comps and how I pull my very best lists, all right? And the software that I'm going to be using, let me see here. Let's start this offer here. Go ahead and publish that. It's called Propstream. And I want everybody to know that, let's go ahead and share that screen again. We'll do the entire screen share. And here's Propstream. Propstream is one of the best tools out there to run comps, especially if you're not an agent, guys. And if you are an agent, I still would use it, right? Like I have MLS access and I still use Propstream to pull my comps, right? It's just easier and it gives you more data. So I've actually given you guys, I believe, a link to some training videos after this as well that you'll get that will give you guys basically some more information about Propstream. But I absolutely love Propstream. So let's go ahead and sign in. One of the cool things about Propstream as well is it has a mobile app, and the mobile app is phenomenal on the fly. It'll allow you to see these properties in real time. It also does some driving for dollars actually, which is really cool. What's going on here? Propstream, pull up. And the driving for dollars is included, which is really, really awesome. All right, here we go. So when you pull this up on a computer, you're gonna see a search bar at the top, and you're gonna see your map, and it's basically gonna zero in to kind of where you're at. And I live right over here in this area, so it's just kind of zeroed in. I like to not use the satellite and just use the map feature part. It just kind of seems to load a lot easier, right? Now you can zoom in and you can zoom out on this map. One of the cool things that you can do is you can draw on it to create boundaries as well. But let's just say that I am, wanting to look at a particular property, and this one just happened to pull up right here, 1819 Virginia. Must have been one that I searched recently. So you can type in any property address right up here in the top. And what this is going to do is it's going to, on the right side of the page here, is it's going to give you an estimated value of that property. It's going to tell you a status, and it's going to tell you general information about the property. 3-bed, 1.5 bath, 1,176 square foot, right? So you can basically click on any one of these, right? If I click on another one of these here, let's go to this one here, 26. And I can click on details on this one here, and it's basically going to pull the one that I just clicked, right? It's going to change to that particular property, right? So any address that you type in, like here's one that I own, 701 Melcher. This is one of my rental properties. It's here in St. Louis, Missouri. Bought this property for 20 grand, and I put 30 grand in it, and it was one of the first flips that I had ever done. And look at the estimated value on this one is 71. And that's crazy because like 5-6 years ago, that was only 50,000, right? I was basically into it for what it was worth, but it was still a good deal. The estimated equities, because we have a line of credit, that's why that's wrong there. But the cool thing is this is going to pull information on any property. Now, if you look down here below, it's going to show you some of these neighboring comps. So it's going to start with 1, which is going to be the closest to the property. And then it's going to have 2. And then it's going to have 3, right? And then it's going to have 4. So it's basically drawing a radius, and it's getting bigger and bigger as it goes. And what's happening is the closest properties to this are going to be the closest up here on the property, right? Now, if I want to click into the details on this property, this is really the cool part. This is where the magic happens. Having this tool in my pocket all day long is awesome, guys. So what you can actually do is you can click on the comparables tab right here once you click into the details of any property. And of course, here's the major details. So again, this is a rental that I own. It's a 2-bed, 1 bath, 768 square foot. Not a big property by any means. Shows lot size, year built, individually owned. I mean, you can see all the cool stuff. This is basically a value graph over the last 5 years. And again, I said it was about 50 of us, right? And then boom, it shot up. And that's just because this market is crazy hot, right? If I didn't have a line of credit on this property, it would actually have a mortgage balance, assuming I had a mortgage. And again, this is another really, really great feature about this software is it gives you the ability to look up mortgages and histories on when the property was bought or sold and for how much, right? How much was borrowed on the property. So, that's really one of the coolest tools with this is knowing what is owed on a property, right? So whenever I'm going to make an offer on a property, I always want to know what they owe, right? It's not necessarily going to affect my offer, but if I know that they owe very little, that's going to make me probably want to make a little bit lower offer just to see if I can get it. So having this data at your fingertips is definitely a bonus, guys. So this software is amazing. It's $100 a month, right? I'm going to be straightforward with you, but I wouldn't do it without it. And here's why. I have MLS access. I'm not an agent. I'm not a broker. Flipped a couple hundred houses to date, right? But I'm not an agent, and you don't have to be either. But I still have MLS access because I own a part of a brokerage, and I'm an assistant to an agent. So by being an assistant to an agent, it's really the only way to get MLS access without actually being an agent or a broker, right? The cool thing is Propstream pulls the MLS data for you, right? So they're going to obviously omit certain things, but those things that they omit are basically irrelevant, right? You don't need that information. What you really need is to know, who owns it and what they paid for it and how long they've owned it, and then basic data about it. And if you need to get their number, you can skip trace in this software as well, right? But the cool thing is it's unlimited comp running, right? You can look at as unlimited number of properties a month and run data and run comps on these properties. So the training is about valuable comps, right? Running and pulling MLS comps. You either have to get access to the MLS to do so, or you have to subscribe to Propstream, all right? That's basically how you're going to get access to run MLS comps. Now, let's talk about some of the things that matter when we are running our comps. Let's go back to our screen share. We're going to go back over here to Propstream. Where's it at? Here it is. And what we are going to really be looking at is the number of beds and the baths and the square footage, and then of course the proximity of the property, right? So whenever I'm running comps, let's do a different one because it'll be a little easier, I think. So let's say, let's see here. Boom. All right. This is where I live right here, guys. So we are going to basically run comps on houses in my neighborhood, right? So my house has an estimated value of $540. I paid $330 for it and I rehabbed it. So I'm probably into it for about that much. Nothing to write home about. But I live here. It's the house that I wanted to live in, and I didn't necessarily have to have a crazy deal on it. But again, you're going to see that it's going to pull comps based on proximity first. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5 is going to be over there, right? 6 is up there, then 7. It's all about the proximity, and that's what matters, right? So the best and easiest way to run comps will be to click on your details here. And then once you have your details clicked, you're going to click on comparables and nearby listings. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to give you the ability to filter in and out different data sets, right? So you can run MLS comps, you can run public record comparable comp search, or you can run both, right? I typically just go to the MLS ones unless it's in a really bad neighborhood. And then in that case, what I'll do is I will run both because I want to see the public records and I want to see the transactions of those individuals that didn't go through the agent or the brokerage process. And it'll still kind of pull some information, which would be helpful. All right, now notice here that Propstream, they're such a great tool because they take basically the skill of running comps out of it for you, and they just make it so easy. So why does that matter? So typically when I'm running comps, I want to look at a half a mile, or what I could even do is I could go to 0.25 right here, and I could change this distance to something that's even smaller. Okay, so I have 13 properties in a half a mile that are going to be very similar to this one. And if I take it down to a quarter mile, it's only going to be 3. Now, why would that make sense? Because we just saw all those. Well, here's why. You're looking for properties that have sold within a really recent time frame. Okay, that's very important when you're running comps. You can't compare a house that sold 14 years ago to one that sold 14 days ago. These are two different markets, and the houses, just the values are just going to be all over the place. So you always want to have your date range. It looks like right here, it's set to 1 year, right? And that's actually a pretty good range. It's rare that I'll go beyond that, but there are cases where you may need to have your date range go to 1.5 years or even 2 years. 1 year is typically good. Even better would be 6 months, guys, right? The most recent is the best. Next, you want your square footage to be very similar. Now think about this for a second. When you're comping a property, you don't want to comp a property that is 400 square foot. That's like a studio, 1 bedroom, everything's in a little box, compared to a 4,000 square foot 2-story home. It's a different house completely. So you want to keep your square footage tight, right? So the square footage of my home is 1,700, and it's basically going to 14 on the low side and 21. So that's basically adding maybe 350-ish on each side. And you, if you want, you can even narrow that. So let's say I took this back to 0.5 on my distance. It's going to take my comparable numbers up, I believe, to about 13, give or take. Yep. And you can have your status set as sold, and then you can obviously narrow it down, right? Now, if you look over here, you can scroll this way and you can actually see the bed bath count, the square footage count. And if you really want to fine tune your comps, you can click into one. So, this one here was 560,000, days on market was 91. And what you can actually do is you can click on this little camera icon. And what this will do is this will bring up photos. Okay. So why would you want to look at the photos? Why would you want to do that? Right. Well, when you are running your ARV or your after repair value and you find that number, you run that number by running comps, right? To determine what a property could be worth when it's all fixed up and or what it's worth today. Right. So when you're doing this, you want your property to be something that is realistic. You don't want to say, oh yeah, we can go put $1 million in this property if all the houses on the street are 250 grand, right? That just doesn't make sense. The goal with real estate investing is to spend the least amount of money and make the most amount of money in return, right? That's kind of the goal when you're flipping houses. So what you want to do is you want to say, what's the least amount of money that we can spend to get this house up? And certain houses aren't going to fall in that thing. So looking at the actual pictures is something that's actually really, really important when you are running your comps. I keep clicking on the wrong tab because you want to make sure that the one that you have is going to be one that you can make look like this. All right. Or is it similar to this? You can click in and look at the kitchen, look at the bath, and all these things are going to matter when you're fine tuning your comp running. Okay. So again, Propstream is one of the best tools to do this. You can use the MLS comps in here. They have about 740 different comp zones from MLSs all over the entire United States. Now, again, if you wanted to look in at tax information, you could see that the property taxes on a property are, X right here. You can look at mortgages, documents and reports, print, analyze, do all kinds of crazy stuff with this software. Now, another thing that's really, really cool is you can actually run market statistics in the lower area here, right? So you can see in this particular market what a cost per foot of a house might be. Well, that's going to be very, very valuable information for you, to have when you're making an offer. If you need to know, what the average are going for, and how much it's going to cost to get yours to become one of these average, well, then you need to be able to discount all that out to make your offer, right? Average days on market. You can do this by zip code. You can do this by individual neighborhood. So again, Propstream is really one of the best and easiest to use tools to help you run your MLS comps. Now, again, I think I said this earlier, I have MLS access. I've had it for probably 4 years. And literally I've been using Propstream for about 2 at this point. And I haven't logged into my local MLS since. I don't even know my login information, to be completely honest, right? It's kind of funny. Just because it's all in here, right? It just makes it so incredibly simple to pull information on a property. And they have an app on the iPhone here. And that app is amazing. You can set it to open with your face, just like the new phones do, and run comps on the fly. Super awesome. Love that tool. Love that tool. All right, let's share the screen one more time. And here's what I want to do this time. So running comps is just basically as easy as typing in your address right here. So let's go back to that property that I had earlier, 701 Melcher, 63135. We can do this on the fly, super quick, right? So I can pull the address in just like this. On the right, it's going to give me an estimated value. Now, this estimated value is similar to a Zestimate, but it's about 10 times more accurate, by the way, right? Next, what I can do is I can look down here at the proximity and see the estimated values or the actual sale amounts of the properties around me. and when those sales took place. All that is right here at your fingertips. If you want to run detailed comps, you can click on the details area, click into comparables and nearby listings, and it takes all of the hard part out. Like I said, it puts the date range in. Super important. It puts your square foot range in. Super important, guys. And it adds in the distance. Now, if you wanted to get, even more tighter close comps, again, you could reduce any of these. You could reduce your square footage window. You could reduce your date. If I go from a half a mile to a quarter mile, it takes me from 10 properties in my comps to 8, right? So it's going to remove some because it's going to shrink that in. And that's it. That's how you run your comps. You're going to look at these other properties, find like properties, guys. Find properties that are similar. Compare 2 bedrooms to 2 bedrooms. Compare ranches to ranches. It is literally that easy. Now, what I want to do, let's clear all. Let's zoom out a little bit. Now I want to show you guys how I literally find the very best lists of leads to market to, right? So again, you guys know that I'm flipping houses. This is what I do for a living. I can literally wear my hat backwards to work every day. It's a phenomenal way to make a living. And I want to teach everybody how to do it, right? So what it comes down to is marketing to sellers, right? Last year, I think we probably bought about 85 houses, my team and I. The year before was 100. The year before that was 100 as well. And of those properties that we bought, I'd say maybe 3 to 5% were listed on the MLS. Now, MLS comps are very important when you go to sell your house, right? And the MLS is also very important when you go to sell your house. But when you're looking to buy a deal, it's very rare that you're going to be able to stumble across one on the MLS. It happens. We buy 2, 3, maybe 5 a year on the MLS, but the other 95 are off-market purchases. And what that means is that we learn how to market directly to sellers. We do so with cold calling. We do so with cold SMS texting. We do so with radio advertisements. We send a ton of direct mailing in order. In fact, I think I sent about 700 mailers earlier this morning. So we're constantly doing efforts. We have ads that run online for people that may search sell my home. And we're constantly looking to buy houses from people. But the best and the easiest way to find the individuals that are motivated is to pull lists. Now, earlier we talked about how Propstream allows you to run these comps and pull this data and find out what somebody knows and all this cool stuff, and they have an app. Well, with your subscription, you also get 10,000 exports a month. That's a ton. 10,000 exports a month. It's $100. So that's basically 1 cent to export a lead. And you do 10,000 of them and you get your money's worth at $100 a month. So we're constantly exporting leads. Now, we're not just exporting any lead. What I like to do is I like to try to export the leads that are going to have presumed motivation. What does that mean, right? Presumed motivation. Well, I'm going to presume that they are going to be a little bit more likely than the next guy to sell their house and to want what I have as an investor and what you guys have as investors, which is convenience, right? We can come in and we can offer them cash. Very rarely is it my cash and it's ever going to be your cash, but it's going to be somebody's cash we're going to partner with, right? You're going to offer them the ability to close fast. And the most important part is you're looking for houses that are distressed. So if they need a bunch of work, you're not going to require them to do any of that work. You're buying it the way that it sits and it's hopefully distressed. Either the person is or the property might be, right? Sometimes both. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to locate the people that have distressed properties. And then we're going to market our message to them, right? And that message is, hey, we're looking to buy houses. We can close fast and help you solve your problem with this property. So we're going to go in and we're going to start pulling a list of motivated sellers. Let's share that screen one more time. Head back on over here to Propstream. And here's what I'm going to do. I just sent a bunch of mail today, 700 pieces to this Florissant area. I love this area. I literally probably own close to 20 houses in this area right now. Okay. So I didn't do a whole lot in Hazelwood or Bridgeton. So for sake of today's little free training, I'm going to pull some leads in the Hazelwood and Bridgeton area. And what I could do is I could type in a county, a city, a zip code, or even an APN number, which would be a tax ID number. But instead, I'm going to use this little draw on the map feature. And I'm going to click right here. And I'm going to go to there. And we're going to basically just kind of go in this area. And when I'm done, I'm going to click enter. And then what it's going to do is it's going to pull all the properties in this area. Now look on the right side. There's 11,705 properties right here inside of this box that I just drew. 11,705 properties. So then what I can do is I'm going to filter. I click right up here on the top and I'm going to filter. Okay. And what I want to first do is I want to take my MLS status to no. I don't want to be pulling a list of anybody that's got a listed property. Just eliminate that right off the bat. Now, look, as I do this over here on the right, the unique properties, it's going to start dropping. And that's a good thing, right? So I want to start by having no on-market properties or on-market selected to no. Now over here, you're going to see as I add things, it's going to start a legend, which is really, really cool. Next, what I want to do is I want to highlight just the vacants, right? So not listed, and I want vacants, and boom, I have 501 properties from this little tiny area right here. Okay, look at this. This is amazing. And I do this all over my town with different criteria almost weekly, pulling different lists here and different lists there, so I can market to these sellers and let them know that I have the ability to help them solve a problem if they have one. I'm looking for houses and I can pay cash and we can do it, and we can do it quick. All right. A couple other things that I typically like to look at is I want to go to my equity and my valuation, and I want to put my estimated equity at 30%. Yes, that's right. I want to limit anybody that doesn't have presumed 30% equity in their property. It takes me down to 411 properties. That's still a lot of properties, guys. This is great. Now, I could stop there, but sometimes I like to go to my property characteristics, and I want to just look for residential properties today, right? I want to kind of get rid of anything that's not a residential property. So I'm going to select that. And now I'm down to 384. Which is good. And then I want to go to my property types. And I don't really like condos or townhouses, but I do like these multis. So I'm going to do single families, and I'm going to do these multis like this. And let's see what that does to my legend here, guys. That's going to take my legend to 230 properties. That is awesome. Now, look at this one. This one's recently sold. This one's recently sold. This one's recently sold. You know, another thing that I could do with my filtering, and again, there's so many ways to do this, but let's get rid of anything that was maybe recently sold, right? So we can go over here to ownership info, and we can do years of ownership, and let's put that at like 3. So that's going to take me from 230 probably to maybe 100 to 150. Boom, 106. And right, just from this little tiny box in my city, I have 106 leads, right? So what I can then do is I can click all of these, and I'm going to add these to a list. I'm going to create a new list. We're going to call this Hazelwood Vacants. I'm going to use abbreviations for high equity with 3-year plus ownership. And I know it's single families because that's basically all that I'm looking to buy, or small multis. So I don't need to label that. But this right here is my list. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save that list. And what I can do here in a minute is I can come back and I can export that list. But what I want to do is, again, I want to keep this training really, really short. And there's 100 different ways to go about pulling these lists. Absentee owned lists are some of my favorites. Vacants, I would say, is my all-time #1 favorite list. You want to know the secret sauce? It's vacants, right? So, you know, I told you we bought 100 houses roughly a year for the last couple of years. 80% of those houses that we've bought, maybe 75%, but still the ultimate majority have been vacant properties. So if you want to find a seller that's really truly motivated, find somebody that has a vacant property. A vacant property is a reason to create motivation because somebody's most likely paying insurance on it. They are paying taxes to own the property. And if someone's not living in it, it's going to deteriorate much faster than if somebody is living in it, because there's not going to be somebody there to monitor if a pipe breaks or, this or that, guys. So love that. Okay, now let's do one more thing before we open it up for a quick Q&A. Let's go back. Share screen one, share. We're going to go right back here to Propstream, and you can see 106 of these properties were saved. Love it. Now what I can do is I can go over here to my properties, and I can find the Hazelwood list. Where did that one go? Let's see here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Bouncy, bouncy. Believe I just called it Hazelwood. You can see all my lists here, right? I pull a ton of them. Okay, where are you guys going? There it is, Hazelwood vacates. There it is. So I can click this and it's going to load all of these properties just like this. Now what I can do is I can click up here and I can export, right? So you'll see 106 are selected. I'm going to click up here and I'm going to export these leads, and watch, it's going to drop that down. So I get 100,000 a month because I pay for that. But with your standard Propstream subscription, you get 10,000, guys, 10,000. And just like that, boom, these leads are dropped down in my browser. So what did it give me? It gave me properties. It gave me the city, state, and zip. It gave me the county. It gave me the owner's first and last name. It gave me the mailing address, which may be different than the property address. If they're vacant, you would hope it would be, right? It's going to give you basic data, how many bed and bath, what kind of property it is, the square footage. In order to get their phone number, you're going to have to skip trace it. And this training isn't even about skip tracing. However, you can skip trace in Propstream, which is really, really, really cool. But again, you could mail from this list right here. If you wanted to do other types of marketing, you would need to do the skip trace. But that's basically how I'm pulling lists, guys. It's so incredibly simple. I'm going into the search feature. And here's another quick way to pull a list, right? This was one that we drew on the map, which is really, really cool. So let's clear all. And let's just say I want to do 63131. This is the zip code that I live in right here. And I'm actually curious to see some of these statistics at the bottom, because it's been a while since I really analyzed my own zip code. There's 7,200 properties where I live. Looks like the average cost per foot in my area is $220. The average days on market for 3 bedrooms is about 87. So not terrible. Gotta love it. Okay. So again, we're going to click on filter. So this time I'm going to do it based on my zip code. I always want that MLS status to go to no. It's like the first thing I always do, because I just don't want to be marketing to people that have an agent listing their house that have already promised them full retail. Because we don't pay that, right? That wouldn't make any sense for us to do that. Next, I'm either going to put it as owner occupied as, no, which would be your absentee owned, or I'm going to select my vacant. So let's just look and see if there's any vacants in my area. There's probably a couple. Got 121. Now, some of these are probably recently sold or are listed. Well, I guess they're not listed because I have that at no. Let's do owner occupied as no as well. It's going to really take that down. The ownership info is another really great tool to put the ownership out a couple years. And then last but not least, I always want to put my equity at about 30% minimum when I'm running my lists like this, guys. So there's 62 potential deals just based on my search. Vacants, not owner occupied. So the owner doesn't live in them. That means it's either a rented property or it's an empty property. It's not listed. The estimated equity is 30% or more. And then again, ownership information. I usually like to put that at least 2 or sometimes 3. That's going to take my total search down to 16. So there's 16 deals. If I was going to start marketing to find a home run deal in my backyard, these 16 properties right here, I would probably want to call the owners, get on the phone with them, And I'd want to get on the phone with those individual people, and I would want to call them first. And I'd want to say, hey, I'm interested in making an offer to you on your property. I would run comps on it. I'd find the other properties in the area that were similar square footage, similar size, and obviously very, very close to the subject property. I would figure out what those are going for, what they had sold for recently, figure out the condition of those properties, and figure out the cost per foot for those properties. And then I would compare that. That's what comping is. It's comparing to this particular property. So I could get an understanding, an estimate of what the value would be when I go fix it up. And then I'm going to make an offer, right? So I'm actually trying to determine a value that's not today. It's later, right? But there's a cost associated with getting it there. That's called our repairs. So I'm going to start with my end in mind. I'm going to discount that by 30%, which you guys saw me eliminate any property that didn't have 30% equity in it. And then I'm going to subtract out my repairs. And that's what I'm going to be referred to as my maximum allowable offer. And I'm never going to make that offer. That's the maximum that I'm going to be willing to pay. So I'm going to start below that even, right? And that's how we're going to make our offers. So running comps on a property is so simple. I use Propstream. I have MLS access. I don't even use it because it has it in there. And it allows me to pull 10,000 leads a month, basically making each lead a penny. Amazing, guys. Amazing. And last but not least, the lists, absentees, pre-foreclosures, foreclosures, high equity, you name it. They have all kinds of lists. So yeah, that's what's up, guys. I am going to open it up for a quick Q&A, and then I'm going to go throw some meat on the grill, right? I've been working out in the yard all week and finished up today. Wanted to do a quick free training for you guys. And yeah, let's answer some questions here. So let's see here. George is from Massachusetts. Selena's from Tucson. Michael's from Orlando. Hey guys, thanks for joining. Between batch leads and Propstream, Ben says, which do you use for what? Also, does Propstream scourge lists for duplicates and new leads based on criteria for that list? So batch leads is great for SMS. They're adding the list feature. I've used it once or twice. It's not there yet. That's my personal opinion. Maybe in 2 months it'll be there and it'll be better. It's great for running those or pulling those lists, but I'm already using Propstream, right, for comps. So I just am getting my list there right now as well. I don't know if batch leads will allow you to run the detailed comps like Propstream. So again, that's why I like it. Now I use batch leads and I love batch leads. I just don't necessarily use it for the list feature right now. It's mostly for the skip tracing feature, the SMS feature, and then of course the list stacking, which is really, really cool. I also use batch driven and batch dialer. I'm a huge fan, as well as batch skip tracing. All things batch are great, but I really like Propstream today because it's pulling MLS comps from all over the entire country. And again, there's 742 MLS zones, and it's pulling in from all of those. So if you are doing some virtual deals, right, or some virtual stuff, you have the ability to run comps in foreign markets, anywhere outside or inside the United States, essentially. Scrubbing lists. Propstream scrubs the lists for duplicates. Yes, it does do that. It also has some ability to do some smart lists, so you can create boundaries. And as properties come in or come out of those lists, it'll notify you, which is really cool. And then Will says, I live in Hazelwood. I went to Hazelwood Central. LOL. That's great. I'm running comps and pulling lists in your neighborhood literally right now as we speak. I love it, guys. I love it. All right, guys, I am going to drop in a couple links for you guys. This is a link here to go get that free trial. I highly recommend you guys check out the free trial. And then here is a link that I made as well that kind of explains in a little bit more detail how to run those comps and how to pull those lists, right? It'll actually expand on that. And then the last but not least is my toolkit. And I want to leave you guys with my toolkit. The toolkit is literally all of the things that I use in my business. It's all of the marketing sources that I use. So Propstream is on there. All those batch products that I refer to are on there as well. And the toolkit is essentially just everything that I'm using. It's kind of like my secret weapons. It's all the stuff that I use, in my business. And then the last but not the least, literally probably the most powerful link that I'm going to share with you guys today before we wrap up is a link to my free wholesale course. Guys, if you have not taken my free wholesale course yet, I highly, 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 highly encourage you guys to check out the free wholesale course. This is going to teach you how to wholesale properties. It's going to basically expand on what I just talked about on pulling these lists, finding these motivated sellers, and marketing to these sellers so you can set appointments and make offers to them to then get control so you can then find a buyer. Guys, last week I did a deal. It was a small one. I made $5,000. The week before we did one, we made 17 grand. We're basically doing one or two of these deals each and every week. And the cool thing is when you learn how to wholesale and you learn how to do it right, you can eliminate your risk completely, right? You can eliminate your risk from having to invest much more than maybe $100 out of your own pocket to then go flip a property and make $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. I'm in the process right now of doing like a $350,000 wholesale deal. So hopefully we can get that closed, and we'll teach you guys all about how we can do that. All right, Ben says, are you seeing pre-foreclosure properties right now, or are there none with the moratorium in effect? I'm not doing any marketing to pre-foreclosures right now just because I know that it's not going to be something that's actually going to hit the auctions. I haven't been studying the moratorium, Ben. It's a great question. But I've just been focused on vacants, absentee owns, high equities, and we also get a ton of our leads from driving for dollars, guys. Driving for dollars is one of the best ways because you're not just presuming motivation. If a house has a hole in the roof, they're going to be motivated. If they don't know there's a hole in the roof, call them and tell them. They will get motivated on the phone with you, right? That's what you're doing, trying to help people get rid of these problems. So driving for dollars is actually one of the best ways. And you can learn about the software that I use over on my toolkit. I shared that link below here, guys. All right, guys, I got time for one more question. It looks like we had a pretty good turnout tonight. About 22 people on here. The poll that I did earlier says we had 83% of people that hadn't done a deal yet. So, guys, I really hope that you learned a little bit about how I'm running my comps, how I'm pulling my lists. I do use a software to do that, right? You can use it too. It's no secret. It has an app. It's $100 a month. You get 10,000 leads from that a month that you can export. It's basically a penny a lead with unlimited comping. When it comes to comping, let's break it down. Quick summary. When it comes to comping, it's all about proximity to the house. Same kind of house, right? Single story to single story, 2-story to 2-story. You want it to have similar bed and bath. Don't compare a 2-bed house to a 7-bed. 2s to 2s, 3s to 3s, 4s to 4s. Square footage matters. So give it a little window, maybe 200 below and 200 above. And again, these are the properties that you're going to want to comp. This is how appraisers comp. They look at your house, they look at all the ones around it, they see what yours has, what the ones around it have or don't, and they base it on proximity, on when it sold last, and on the size. It's really not rocket science. All right, Jacqueline says, do you teach virtual wholesaling? Jacqueline, I teach wholesaling. So it doesn't really matter if you do it virtually or if you don't. There's just a couple different things that are involved to do it virtually. But at the end of the day, it's the same exact thing. You just have to have a different party that's boots on the ground or the ability to partner with people. So on and so forth. So kind of teach it, but I don't specialize in that. But there's only a couple things, like I said, that are that different. Eric said, David, the market is so hot. What's your advice for starters in the market or in making offers? Eric, just make them. You know, my team and I, we try to make 2 or 3 offers a day, every day. If we go a day without making an offer, or 2 or even 3 days, like we get together and we say, guys, we got to go make offers on properties. Making offers on properties is what gets you control. If you want to wholesale, if you want to buy and rehab and rent and flip like me, you got to be able to get a contract on a property, you know, if you want to do any of that stuff. So I think that's a really good question. Michael says, so are you making your deals? Are you marketing your deals with contracts? We keep the best and we sell the rest. Of course, we market the deals that we have under contract if we don't plan on keeping them. Always keep the best, sell the rest. Ariel said, do you skip trace with Propstream or batch when using batch SMS with Propstream list? I always do my skip tracing at batch. I never use Propstream, even though it does have that feature. Because A, it's cheaper. 2, it's higher quality data. In my opinion, everybody's going to have an opinion on that. And 3, I'm already in their SMS. And I know that they have the match feature, which I believe Propstream maybe has it, but I don't know. And the match feature eliminates you from skip tracing the same lead twice. So if I'm pulling a lead on batch leads or a lead on driving for dollars or a lead on Propstream, and there's a duplicate on there, I'm not skip tracing it a second time. So that's really why I prefer batch. If you guys are curious on how I do that, there's some videos down there in the toolkit about skip tracing and batch leads as well. Let's see here. Everyone else said, thanks for the information. Guys, I appreciate you. I hope you learned something. What's the best lead generator one can implement? This is it. This is the last one because I'm getting hungry and I want to go drink a beer. The best lead generator, guys, is driving for dollars, or pulling a list like I just showed you how we do it, skip tracing that list, and just start cold calling people on the list. If you can't afford to get Propstream, that's fine. Go on Zillow, go on Facebook, find properties that are listed for sale. Craigslist is another great place. So Zillow, Craigslist, and Facebook. Find properties that are listed for sale. Call them and say, hey, I'm interested in making you an offer on this property. You know, does it need any work? Hopefully it does. And make them an offer for 60 to 70 cents on the dollar. And you're going to get told 500 times, you know, but on that 501th time, you're going to find somebody that says, you know what, I will take that offer because I haven't been to that house in 2 years and I had to move across the country for a job and I had tenants in there and then they moved out and trashed it and I've just been paying this mortgage and they don't want to deal with it. And that's what motivated sellers look like. And and it's a lot of work calling and touching base with all these people. That's why we do all the different methods that we do, because it allows us to bring in a ton of leads. But to get started, Eric, what's the best way? Is just to start, man. Go find people on the Craigslist, Zillow, Facebook that have a property for sale, make them an offer. If they have a property for rent, still call them up. And this is great because you don't have to skip trace people on Facebook, Craigslist, or Zillow. If it's for sale by owner, they put their number up there. Same thing with the people that are asking to rent their property. Here's a number to call to fill out an application. Well, when you call, you just say, hey, I'm not actually looking to rent. You know, I'm an investor and I'm looking to acquire a few more. I see that it's for rent, but do you happen to have interest in selling? Just pick up the phone, make those calls. Guys, that's it. Hopefully you guys all learned a thing or two about running accurate comps. Use Propstream. It's literally that easy. Let me throw this offer up one more time, guys. Use this link. It will give you a 7-day free trial, and it will help me get more leads as well. Help pay for trainings just like this. Find those lists by pulling leads out of that exact same software, guys, and start marketing to them. Skip trace them. Start calling them. Send some mail to them, right? Or start cold SMS as well. So many different options to get started and get in this game. Guys, thanks so much for coming on tonight. I don't know if there's going to be a replay of this or not. It depends on how many people, I guess, reach out and ask for it. But that's a wrap. Thanks again for watching. And we're going to try to do 1 or 2 of these free trainings like this a week. So stay tuned for more. Thanks for coming, guys. We'll see you next time.